yeah, you can. Hey everyone, my name is Tom Krause. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to take a look at the Behringer 150. This is a Eurorack module based on the Roland System 100M series of modules from the 70s. Behringer recreated these with their System 100 modules, and I've been playing around with these now for a few months, and I find them quite good. So today we're going to take a look at the 150. The 150 is what's called the utility module. It's got multiple functions. We're going to focus mostly on sample and hold, but we'll take a look at all of them. Okay, so let's just quickly go through the module and see what it has. So we have an LFO with multiple waveforms, 5 waveforms: sine wave, triangular wave, square wave, sawtooth, and reverse sawtooth. There's 2 outputs for the LFO. You've got just a regular output, and then you've got an inverted output. You've got 2 controllers. You've got a controller for the delay, and you've got a controller for frequency. You've got 3 different ranges here. You've got a high, medium, and low. When you have it on low, you have a nice, really slow LFO. Not incredibly slow, but slow enough to get some really interesting results. And then on the high, you push it right up, and it's really, really fast. Okay. You've got a trigger in, so you can trigger a new cycle, and you've got a frequency controller via CV in as well. Also, we've got a noise module inside here. We've got 2 different types of noise. You've got white noise and pink noise. There's 2 outputs for each, which is quite useful, which we'll see later on. You've got a ring modulator. Ring modulator basically means you put in 2 signals, and it does some funky maths processing in the background, and then you signal out. Ring modulators, if you've not used them before, they can sound kind of metallic. They can make quite interesting sounds. It's difficult to make them musical, but yeah, let's see. We might be able to do something here. You don't actually have to put anything into these. It will, by default, take a white noise, and it'll take from the LFO. And then we've got the sample. We also have the sample and hold module. For those that are not familiar with sample and hold, a quite quick explanation would be every signal or sound that goes in to the sample and hold, like say for example a sine wave, that sound has a voltage as it travels up and down through the sine wave. Sample and hold uses the clock to take a snap of that voltage at a particular time, and then that voltage stays solid until the clock ticks again, and then it takes another sample. So when the clock is running slow, it can be very noticeable. When it's running fast, it's more of a screechy sound. We'll do a demo. I have an oscilloscope here as well. You'll be able to see what's going on. Just to note here, the clock rate in this, as you can see here, it's even at the slowest, it's quite quick. If you want a really slow clock on this, you can use an external clock or a square wave coming from the LFO. Also, the sample and hold has, I suppose, 3 different inputs for the signal in. You can take the noise, which I think is the white noise. You can take the LFO from down here, or you can take an external sound source from here. You can also use the clock rate in this as a general clock. I don't particularly like it because it's a little bit yeah, there's not much range in it, and it's fiddly as well. It's difficult to get an accurate reading on it. Okay, you also have lag time, so you can add some lag into the sample and hold as well, which is not something we'll be looking at here today. Okay, so let's just plug it into the oscilloscope and take a look at what sample and hold is. So I have a multi here from Dofer. It's the A180. It's a buffered multi. So let's take the signal out from sample and hold, and it's currently set to LFO, and then we can take a look at the oscilloscope. So you can see that it's using a square wave. So let's just switch it to something a bit more usable, sine wave. And you can see now the clock as it ticks. Every tick, it takes a sample of voltage, continues until it ticks again. If we speed up the clock, you can see that the samples are taken faster. And if we speed the clock up to max, it just looks like a regular old sine wave again. Now let's listen to this and see what it sounds like. So we can take the output from the sample and hold and feed it into a signal in on a VCO. and the VCO that takes 1 volt per octave. It should make some sort of a tune. Let's see. I'll plug it in. I'm not going to use that cable, it's too long. It's too short. I plug this into the filter so we can do a bit of modulation against it. And then I will take the connection from the filter. I'll feed it into a VCA. And then I'll take the VCA high and I'll stick it into my mixer just so we can play around with the sound. Okay, so let's see if we can hear it. So you can see as it's traveling through the sine wave, it's generating different voltages, and those voltages are being sent to the 1 volt per octave input of the VCO. Yeah, it makes this kind of sound. Not very musical, but we speed it up. And speed it all the way up. Now, one of the interesting things about sample and hold is, let me just stop that for a minute. That didn't work. Let me just stop it down here. One of the interesting things about sample and hold is the noise. So if you input noise into a sample and hold, because noise is not like a sine wave that's traveling up or down, or that's sequential in any way, it's just random sound generating random voltage, that when it takes a sample of noise, it's just random. It can be high voltage, low voltage, whatever. Let's just take a look on the oscilloscope. So as you can see in the oscilloscope, it's going up and down. Listen to that. And that's a bit more musical, isn't it, than the sine wave? And it doesn't repeat. Now let's just give that a bit of an edge by, let's just add an envelope to it, just so it's a bit smoother. Okay. Of course, we need to be able to trigger our envelope. So what we'll actually do is we'll trigger the envelope with the sequencer. So let's use the gate out from the sequencer and feed it into the other multi, because this thing has 2, and send this back to the clock in. We send it back to the clock in and use the sequencer as the clock for the sample and hold. And then we can use one of the other buffers and we can send that to, too short, need a long cable. And we can send that to the gate of the, sorry, it's the wrong gate. This is the gate here. Alright. So using the sample and hold, we can get, it's a bit more musical now. We can speed it up. Or slow it down. Okay, just while that's playing away in the background, let's just look a little bit deeper at this. I want to just take a look at the noise on the noise generator, in particular the white noise generator. And if we take a listen to that, and let's take a listen to the pink one. So the pink one sounds like, you know, radio static. Right, the white noise is a bit sharper, but the white noise has a unique property. If you do it quick, it sounds kind of like a snare. So what we can do here is we can actually send the white noise to a VCA, and we can use our other gate sorry, too many cables. We can use the other envelope generator to trigger it, but we can't hear it because we didn't feed it into our mixer. Oops. Still can't hear it because I didn't turn up the mixer. So you hear? It's kind of like a snare. So we could possibly trigger that, but just to add a bit of movement within the snare, let's do something slightly different. Let's send the sound, instead of sending the sound directly from the white noise, let's run it through a filter. So I have a Dofer A124 Wasp. I have another video on the Wasp. Definitely check the Wasp out, it's pretty cool. Let's send the noise then to the Wasp filter. And let's use the LFO that we have here as a modulation for that Wasp filter. So it sounds different. Let's do this. Okay, so we have one more gate here from our mult. We have a long enough cable. I don't have a long enough pink one, but I have a yellow one here. It might do. Let's use the gate for that. Now you see, it gives it a bit of movement, so it's not the same all the time. So now let's add back in our original sound. And I have a Korg NTS1 here. Let's add a bit of delay. Too much maybe. The Korg NTS1 is great. Also has some reverb. It's nice. Okay, that's pretty good. So on our utility module over here, the Behringer 150, we're using nearly all the utilities. One left, the ring modulator. Let's give it a go. See if we can add something in here. First, let's see what it sounds like. So we can use the second output from our VCO and use it as a noise input. And then we can take the output of the ring modulator and let's feed it into just this, just so we can hear it. Doesn't seem to be making any sound. And let's plug it into our mixer. And if you turn the frequency of the LFO up, it's okay. I think that could do, but let's feed this into, let's just feed this into our first VCA and see now what kind of sounds we're getting. and I've enjoyed playing with this. I hope you guys get something out of this too. I mean, it's a really good utility module, lots of different features. I mean, I only played with it for a few minutes and you can get some quite interesting sounds. Yeah, so as I said, my name is Tom Kras. If you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe. And I will talk to you all in my next video. Take it easy, y'all. Bye now.